I'm going to try and speak up for this video because they're doing some work over there with tractors, and we're having some white pine and also some cedar pines brought to our property. So I'm very excited about this. So I was going to make this video before, but it was kind of hard for me because I think you guys probably saw the video of where I almost drowned in Little Sugar Creek. So hopefully this will be helpful to some people that are doing outdoor sports, and you can learn from kind of what happened to me. So we were kayaking about 3 weeks ago, and Little Sugar Creek, it's very beautiful, and it's, I don't know, miles long. How many? I don't know. When we started, it was great. I was there with 7 other friends, and we were just, you know, waiting in our kayaks, getting ready. The guys arrived, and then we started our float, which was really fun in the beginning. And I had kayaked before in Catalina, and also when I lived in Belize, near the Belize Barrier Reef, which is the 2nd largest in the world. But that was on the ocean, so I was not in any way prepared to be kayaking in rapids. So as we go along, it's really fun, and I even said to Tommy, I'd love to come back tomorrow by myself. And he's like, okay, if you're sure. Well, it's a good thing that this happened so that I didn't go back by myself, because who knows what would have gone wrong. As we went forward, the entire float is 2 hours, 3 hours if you include stopping at the beaches for lunch. So as we were 45 minutes into it, this is the funny part. I got caught in a dead tree. This is the first time that I had a problem with the tree. This big dead tree was in the water, and I started veering to the right as the rapids behind me started getting faster, and I wasn't able to steer. I wasn't experienced enough to steer away from it, so I kind of slowly drifted into the dead branches of this big dead tree. And so as I got myself out of it, the guys started kayaking, paddling over to me to try and help me get out of it. I turned myself around, and they weren't quite there yet. And then I'm floating down the creek with a 20-foot dead tree wrapped around me that they had to untangle me from. So they didn't get a picture because they were just trying to get it, you know, get me freed from this tree. And my hair was down, which at that time it might have been a good idea for me to put it up. As we continued floating, and it was really beautiful and fun, we stopped at a beach, we had lunch. Then when we got back in, we hit really big rapids, which I wasn't ready for. And as we were floating, I veered to the right again, but this time is when it really became a problem. As I was going, I see this big tree, and I'm like just going toward it, and my kayak is actually going sideways. And I put my arms up thinking that I can stop it, you know, like from, you know, like once I get to it, the kayak will just, you know, bump into it, and I can push myself away and go around it. That's not what happened. When I got to the tree, I was pushing on it with my arms, and the kayak hit the tree trunk, and then it immediately flipped over, pushing me into the water underneath the kayak, but then directly into a tree trunk. There was a hole in that side of the tree trunk. So I was stuck underwater in a tree trunk, not a tree stump. Like, the girls saw it, the guys saw it later, but sometimes people go, oh, it's a tree trunk. So did you just like walk over it? Did you swim around it? What'd you do? I was stuck inside of a tree trunk. The roots, and then there's the hole that the water's rushing through, and then up above is the entire tree, a living tree. When I flipped into there, I'm grateful my sunglasses came off, and I was pushing and pounding inside because I could see the inside of the tree, and I was panicking. And in my head, I was calling out to God as loud as I could, knowing I couldn't open my mouth, not knowing how I was going to get out. And I struggled without air. What they estimated, one said between 1 and 2 minutes, but she didn't see me go under. The second said, I don't know, it might have been 3 or 4 minutes that she was under there. And they were trying to get across when they realized I'd flown into the tree trunk, and I was underneath the water. They were trying to get across to me, but the water was so fast rushing past them, and then it was so deep that it was 4 or 5 feet. They were having a hard time getting over to me, and the guys were way back behind us. Without really thinking, I just kept trying to figure out, like, how do I get out of here? And my hand went out the other side, and there was a smaller hole. But as soon as I felt it, I reached around, and my feet came out first, and I gripped the tree with one arm to have it push me out the water. And then when I got out, of course I was screaming and gasping for breath and crying and shaking and trembling. And I felt like I couldn't, I was having a hard time moving, but I was able to climb up onto the tree and hold onto the branches until they could get to me and get me over to the beach. So the guys arrived, and then all of them were grabbing me and carrying me across, and I got to the beach, and I was just and crying and just everything. That was by far the scariest thing. It was by far the scariest thing that I ever experienced in my life, because I honestly thought I was going to drown. And I didn't think I was going to cry in this video, but it was really frightening. And after, they started wrapping jackets around me, and then waiting and giving me food and juice, and one of the girls had actually brought juices that had rum in them, so I had one of those, and they decided that my kayak had to be hooked to my boyfriend Tommy's kayak, and then I had to sit in the back of his and hold on to him, because there's no way to get back. You can't walk. So he had my kayak hooked to his, and I was sitting in the little compartment behind him, holding on to him and the chair, and you know, shaking, trembling the entire way, but I made it back safely, and I'm grateful that it wasn't worse. Wiser now to put my hair back if I'm doing anything like that, and also to know my skill level and not to think that I'm better at that than the environment that I was in doing it before. And also that I brought friends with me. That's the one tip, is if you're going to go do outdoor sports, bring friends with you. And also, a little side tip, the kayaks were open, thank God it wasn't an enclosed kayak, but there is an air pocket if you ever get stuck underneath one. Mine was open, so you're actually just supposed to bail if you run into a problem. But there is a pocket of air underneath it where you sit, where you can breathe for a period of time. They said one girl for 3 hours was with her head under her kayak breathing. But I'm fine now. I'm fine in that I wake up and I'm like, I'm alive. Okay, I didn't die. It was scary it was really scary. It was, I want to swear, but I'm not going to in the video. But it was, scary. Scarier than anything I ever experienced. And when we got back, I just decided I'm not going to do it again until the spring. And so now I just do this little stretch of Little Sugar Creek. I get in the kayak, and then I, learn to paddle better, and sometimes I just walk in it and feel the current and all of that. And hopefully in the spring I'll feel confident enough to, to go again. And it was just one of those kind of freak accidents that happened. So that's the story. I'm very excited about all the things that we're doing and building the house, and I'm not afraid of Little Sugar Creek. I'm not afraid of going back into it. I'll just be wiser, the next time that I do that, but I have until the spring, so I'm not hurrying myself at all. Well, so yeah, everything else I'm going back to our land where they're going to be putting in the trees, so I need to give them my 2 cents on where I would like for those white pines and the cedar pines to go, and enjoy the rest of the day. So that's what happened, and I'm so grateful. Yeah, so grateful. All right, well, I give you guys a big kiss, and we will see you in our next video. Bye.